What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, May 7th, 2020, and it is a great day to be a junior Potter because, hey, there's only 2 more assignments left for science today and then on Friday. And then we got a couple of those enrichment activities coming out to you next week. As far as the grades go, we're going to start making sure that we got our grades ready to go for the end of the year here. Speaking of end of the year stuff, a lot of people have not seen this checklist for how to wrap things up for the end of the year. So I'm going to go over that real quickly here at the beginning so that we can get some of that stuff. So this was sent to you in the email by Mr. Hoffman on Friday, but let's go through it. This is the end of the year pickup drop-off procedures and the schedule that you need to follow. So make sure that you've got everything on here. If you don't know where this document is, go to Gmail. You can type in Mr. Hoffman. It'll pop up there. Go down to last Friday's. It's the attachment that's on there. But let's go through some of these bullet points here. You're going to be able to come into the school and you have a designated time that you have to come in. So that's what we're going to get to at the very end. But you got to make sure that we're doing that because we're only supposed to allow so many people into the building. So we're trying to do that as efficiently as possible there. Limiting the number of students in the building. And you either need to come either alone, have your parents wait in the car, or bring a single parent or sibling to assist. So only 2 maximum at a time for you. You can enter from any exterior building and will return items to the gymnasium. There'll be kind of stations set up for anything that you need to return, iPads, all that kind of stuff that takes place all in the gym. But any exterior door, minus the gym doors there because they're building the other gym right now. So that one's obviously going to be off for you. But if for whatever reason, if that stuff doesn't work, there's Mr. Carter's email address and a time so you can schedule a specific time. If you are when you do come, you need to cover up your face with at least some kind of protective covering because we're got to practice the safe social distancing stuff there. Here's a list of stuff that you need to pick up when you go there. You need to clean out all of your lockers. That includes your PE locker and your hallway locker. If you got anything for awards night, which that digital awards night should be coming to you sometime next week. We're filming it today, which will be Thursday when you look at this. We're filming it today. So hopefully they wrap that up over the weekend, get it all edited up so it looks all nice, and I'll come back to you later on. If you are in any of those following activities of volleyball, dance, wrestling, awards, those things you'll end up being able to pick up. If you're part of chess team, you can pick up your stuff. 7th grade boys, you can pick up your stuff. Musical pictures are in, so you can have all that stuff. And any kind of art projects that you left in Mrs. DuPont's classroom, you can pick up there. You also need to come, making sure that you drop off certain things if you still have them. One of them being your iPad. You must... That must is in all capital letters. Make sure that you put your name, grade level, and passcode on a piece of paper and place it on the inside cover of the iPad. That way, when you open it up next year, when we come back in August, you will have all that information. All you got to do is punch in that punch code, and boom, you're logged back on. Because we basically have to wipe the entire device if we have to reset your passcode. So make sure that you put all that information on there and just tuck it in the inside there. When you're done with your PE lock, or locker, you'll give your PE lock to one of the stations that's in the gymnasium there. If you checked out a calculator from a math teacher, you need to bring that in there. If you had a district hotspot, meaning that they came and gave you Wi-Fi, you need to bring that stuff, including all the cords, back, or otherwise they're going to try to track you and hunt you down. You don't want that. If you have any extra, those volleyball and wrestlers, if you have any of those things, bring those. If you had a library book and or you still have a classroom book, make sure you bring those. Or if you have anything that belonged to a teacher, bring those. And anything else that belongs to the junior high, bring all that stuff because we kind of ended in a weird spot there. So make sure you're bringing everything there. Here is how things are going to be done. Here's the schedule. Our schedule, Green Team Day, is Tuesday, May 19th, that you need to come in and get your stuff. We have broken it down by your home rooms as far as what times you are assigned to come in. That way we do not flood the hallways. If you are in Mrs. Giles' homeroom, you are coming from 8 to 9. If you're in my homeroom, Mr. Parrott, you're coming from 9 to 10. If you're in Mrs. Rabe's, that's 10 to 11. Miss Shore's, 11 to 12. Mr. Sam's, 12 to 1. And if you're in Mrs. Plevka's homeroom, 1 to 2 to check in all that stuff. And then if you are with Mrs. Everett or Mrs. Bollinger, you need to come in from 2 to 3 there. If those times do not work on Tuesday, you need to contact Mr. Carter so he can set you up some kind of time later on so that we know exactly how many people are entering the building. But because all of our homerooms have about the same number of people in them, that is the most efficient way to make sure that we're practicing the social distancing, everything with it. So that's a rundown of all that stuff. And you see it's blank from there on out. So take a look at that if you haven't yet. There's a lot of stuff there. What you worked on yesterday, or I guess not yesterday, maybe Tuesday for some of you, the water cycle stuff, to go over it real quick. We got our water cycle going on. You had this diagram happening. Let's start off just going through what this stuff is. A was condensation, forming of the clouds. B, you can see the little rain coming down. That's precipitation. Once it comes down on the ground, it has one of two ways that it's going. Either stays on the surface, which is what C is doing, forming like a river or a stream. So that is runoff. D is supposed to be going inside of the ground. That one's kind of hard to see, but that one's groundwater. They all empty out into the ocean. And then F is the evaporation coming up out of it. So hopefully you were able to identify all those different parts. But if you need to, you can always go back, redo those things on there. And then there's just a verbal depiction of each one of those there. So that's our water cycle kind of review there, making sure to go over that diagram. Let's look at our carbon cycle one for today, because this one's a little bit different for our carbon cycle. We've got a bunch of different aspects of it. Remember that I give you your choices here. You just need to give me what is A, B, C, or D. Each one only has one going on there. But we'll talk about a couple about things about these. Our main basis for the carbon cycle is what humans or animals and plants, how they interact. Plants are doing photosynthesis or producers, and they're taking in the carbon dioxide and giving us oxygen, whereas we are doing the respiration part where we are breathing in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. So we kind of got a little cycle in between us. In between there, all that carbon dioxide and all that oxygen goes into the air. Now, everything would be in balance if it was just those two things. But as you can see over here with letter A, we got an additional factor that kind of kicks stuff up into the air. And that is what is called combustion. It's what happens when we burn anything and it causes that smoke to go into the air. A lot of that smoke is either carbon dioxide or worse, carbon monoxide. But it elevates our carbon levels in the air. And if you look at all these arrows everywhere, there's a bunch of arrows pointing up always. There's only one arrow, and you kind of can't see it because I'm in the corner here, so let me move myself down here in transition. You can see there's only one arrow right above me where it is being brought back down to the earth, and that's through trees. That's why trees are so important. Not only do they give us oxygen, but they're the only thing that is taking the carbon dioxide out of the air. So you got the carbon dioxide. The only way that they're doing that is through photosynthesis. Since plants are one of the main things that does photosynthesis, there's some types of algae that do, which algae is considered a protist, a single-celled organism. That's not a bacteria. But for the most part, they are producers. And from there, we can get into the food chain. We got your lower-level consumers that can eat the plants. You got your higher-level consumers that eat the lower levels. You got decomposition that happens down here. All those things are going to affect our carbon dioxide levels because all of them are going to do some respiration. And you can even see it back here in the back where my little plus sign is. There's even a tree that does respiration because trees also respire. They don't utilize all of the carbon dioxide that they're taking in, so they put some actually back into the air. Not as much as like animals do, but they will respire a little bit back in there. So that's a rundown of what you're going to be looking at for the diagram. I forgot the word for a diagram there. So that's all 8 parts there. Hopefully you're following along, or if you stuck around for this video, I basically walked you through the diagram of it. And then we got, a little bit less of the questions to it. So you just have to answer stuff about the producer, respiration, photosynthesis, and a decomposer role in there. And then we got the same 3 questions. Why is this cycle important? What is one way we can possibly affect this? What is one way we can negatively affect it? You might see a pattern in how we look at those things, because basically if we do some of those similar negative effects that you're talking about with the water cycle, that's also going to impact all the other cycles as well, since everything's kind of melded in here, since that's kind of what happens when we're on the Earth. So I'm getting to about 11 minutes here, it looks like, so I'm going to wrap things up. If you have any questions about what is happening today or anything going on with the May 19th, the end of the year, when you should turn stuff in, you don't understand that or can't find the document, email me. I'll be glad to forward you that email. I have it, saved right here so I can forward it. I forwarded it a couple of times to different people today. So make sure that if you don't have the information, that you're getting that information and that you're asking for it, and that we're finishing this off week strong, because by golly, it's been one wild, crazy ride. So let's finish it off the best way that we can. And always remember that it is a great day to be a junior Potter.